Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Battle Brothers Season 3. As today, we just wait for the current crisis to come to an end. And, in the meantime, start preparing for the next. Speaking of which, Erlendane took a bit of a beating last time out. Again. But it turns out it's a bit of a mixed blessing, because it gives us a chance to dose him up with a second elixir, which I'm thinking will be the Potion of Fleetfoot here. For some reason I was thinking he already had dual doses, but apparently no. He barely even has one. He's just got the Apotheosis Potion, which I will freely admit I kind of gave to him as a gag, a goof and gaff, since, it barely does anything. But this, at least, will make him slightly more mobile. And aside from that, we've got a 3-skull on tap. Let's have a peek. Erwin the Merchant angrily shakes his head. Brigands have been tearing up these parts for far too long. I sent a lad, Ludger's son, to go find them. And you know what? Only his head came back. Of course, the idiot brigand sent one of their own to deliver it. We captured and interrogated him. So now we know where they're at. I do not have the men, but I do have the crowns. What say I slip some your way, and you slip a sword theirs? You know what? I think we can do that. And bandits are pretty much perfect rookie fodder. Yeah, I mean, halfway decent pay for a relatively simple job. Barring the appearance of, say, a hedge knight or something similar. He watches the men chow down on plates about as colorful as the men's personalities. Supplying the company with such a diverse stock of food has raised their spirits as good as any victory. Hey, nice. But yeah, let's get a peek at the overlook here, or the outlook, rather. 3 skulls are prone to twists, and I do notice they're not telling us what's in there. Also, we're coming in at night, so let's make sure we adjust our lineup accordingly. I'm thinking we'll go wide front. Alright, let's do this. Bit of a risky lineup, but hopefully the rooks can handle it. Otmar the Bleak. It's him, you know it. Eyeing through a spyglass, you can easily see the silhouette of the infamous robber baron as he moves about the brigands' encampment. He wasn't in your plans, nor mentioned in the contract, but there's little doubt that if you bring his head back to town, you'll be getting a little extra for your troubles. Okay. Marksman, handicapped by the low light conditions, and multiple brigand leaders. Otmar the Bleak, accompanied by his good friend, the Butcher, which I think we can handle. If there were champions or any elites or anything, I'd pull back to reconfigure. The raiders crept in dead of night, catching Otmar and his ilk off guard. A pair of arrows, the first herald of the raiders' arrival. The bleeding bandit already sprinting towards them before he'd even really registered what had happened. Diego stepped up to meet him, then swept around to one side, all but inviting the rest of the brigands to move forward. A bit of blind fire popped off in return, and the raiders waded in, circling round the south, as they sought to prize the bandits from their fortified position. Seymore stepped up, sword ready. A heavy swing, the first bloodied bandit bisected. The rest of the raiders, brigand or otherwise, rushed forward, clashing at the center of the field. A few blows traded, blood drawn, but the first truly telling blow was dealt out by Cetrus. A hollow pop as he hammered a shoulder out of socket. Trip slipped in right after. The desperate dastard trying to raise his shield but finding his arm unresponsive. A blade slipped into his gullet and he dropped gurgling to the ground. Bowman took aim, spying an unattended archer. His shot went wide, but still drew blood, piercing the reinforced leather of a hirsute hatchet man. Diego stabbed the swordsman, twisting his grip on his spear, driving him to the ground, and then running him the rest of the way through. Yet more bandits boiled forth from the fortification. The raiders only now fully realizing the size of the ants' nest they had just kicked up. Trip engaged the butcher. Unable to find purchase, but his swift flurry of stabs, keeping the bandit leader's bodyguard off balance. With Otmar himself rushing in shortly after. A mallet-wielding miscreant rushed in on South. Seymore angled north. A risky spot to take, but one he could hopefully handle. Giannis flailed at a foe. Cetra stepped up, watching Seymore's back. Malafnoy backs his play as well. Slightly riskier squaring off with a butcher like that, but again, hopefully he can handle it. And if not, can't coddle these guys forever. At a certain point, you've got to weed out the chaff. Mark strafes. A quick shot, keeping Otmar the Bleak's head down. Arrow keeps laying down fire as well. A random swing. A swordsman stumbling as his nose is stoven in. The mallet-wielding menace beside him, falling to one knee. Rook stabs the swordsman through the throat, slaying him where he stands. A follow-up strike pushing back the Pikmin on South. And more of Otmar's men join the fray on North. Seymore readying his blade. Diego hops the line, locking Otmar down. More pressure on North. But the Raider line holds. Seymore draws in a deep breath and swings, his blade biting deep into one bandit's bicep, but glancing off the guard of the rest. A Pikmin pushes Rassel from behind, sending him stumbling into a choking cloud of gas. Trip entangles Otmar the Bleak, helping keep him contained. Even as Otmar's bodyguard, the Butcher, seems to be having second thoughts. Cetrus nails another ne'er-do-well's nose. Rassel bashes a bandit upside the head, then quickly backpedals, primed for some payback on that pesky Pikmin. The Butcher flees, stumbling and shoving his way past his peers. A few of the bandits given pause, but one quickly pushing forward to fill the gap. Promptly rewarded with a face full of shrapnel. Random crack to Shieldman cross the knuckles. Rook likewise jabbing past him, fending the foe at Random's flank. Cetrus silenced the broke-nosed bandit. A spear-wielding scoundrel wrapped round the Raider's line, rushing towards Bowman and back. Mal broke another bandit. Seymore cutting down two more as well, before veering back, breathless but eyes set on the flanking foe. Giannis beat down a bandit, then fell back as well, rallying to Bowman's side. Rassel finally beat the bandit bludgeoner bloody. And the Butcher returned to the fray, his momentary lapse of reason past, as he once again locked horns with Mal. Mark glanced in his direction, but set his sights on center. A cone of shrapnel framing Otmar, flaying the men around him. Trip quickly gutted one. Rook gouging the guts of another on south. Random fractured another foe's phalanges, then pushed in, thwarting his escape. Arrow pumped two shots into an advancing shieldman's chest. And that did the trick. The badly bleeding bandit breaking off his charge, moving to strike at Seymore instead. Finding himself suddenly unopposed, Seymore broke through to the bandit back line. Setris struck down the twice-shot shieldman. Giannis circled back to center. And Otmar went on the defensive, even as Rassel cleared the last on south. Well, second to last, but close enough. I think Random's got the last. And yeah, I should have just had Seymore recover. Really gotta bump that fatigue. A few more fleeing foes fell. One to Rook, another to Giannis. And Otmar began to break. The initial frenzied flurry of oft-fatal violence had subsided, now giving way to an enduring war of attrition. Diego bashed Otmar back, engaging an enemy archer. Ah, random. That's fine, Rassel's got it. Rook began whittling at Otmar. Seymore staggered. Scored a half dozen times, but still standing strong. Arrow put a shot through the pesky Pikmin's neck. Seymore slaughtered the southern marksman. A bit worse for wear after the exchange of blows, but nothing too bad. The butcher shoved Diego back, buying himself some breathing room. Rassel finally cleared the south. Giannis pummeled another panicking peon. And the fight was almost won, but the risk not yet fully neutralized. The Butcher and Otmar both still posing a very real threat. At least to the rookies. But the rest of the Raiders were quick to rally. And Otmar finally broke, battered as he was by the company banner. Arrow advanced, eyeing a few fleeing foes, but staying focused on more immediate threats. With Otmar at least temporarily neutralized, the Raiders swiftly shifted focus, most turning their attention towards the Butcher, though some of the fresher recruits still couldn't resist giving chase. Seymore carved into one last foe, blade biting deep, but then pinned in place, hacked halfway through some coughing and hacking Cad's collarbone. Blood pulsing round the gruesome wound. As the two sought to separate. Cetrus finally put the man out of his misery. Sigmar swaying back, stumbling and unsteady. Random bashed Otmar about the head. Helm hurled clear. The bandit leader, now all but beaten. Even as Arrow pumped 2 more shots into the butcher as well. A rattle in his breath, marking his pending death. Which Mal swiftly delivered. The bloody butcher butchered. And Otmar, overwhelmed. With Mal claiming his head as well. Sigmar swept north. Another tired attack, this time cleaving into the one remaining foe. And the flailman finally fell. Arrow sunk deep in eye. Rook waving off the half-hearted pursuit. The 2 remaining bandits had made well their escape, vanishing into the murky night. My goodness, that turned into a real bloodbath. But, you know, that's the risk you take when you go heavy on rookies. And well worth the price of a few flesh wounds, I'd say. 3 level ups in the queue. You love to see it. I mean, all things considered, I feel like they handled themselves halfway decently. Honestly, at this point, I think our main concern is that there's a 50-50 shot we'll be intercepted by bounty hunters on the way back. With the fighting over, you quickly search for and find Otmar the Bleak's corpse amongst the dead. He still looks mighty mean, even as the color leaves his body. He still looks quite mean when you relieve his head of his body. And though you can't see his face any longer as you toss his head into the burlap sack, you assume he still looks pretty mean then, too. Mean to the end. Or means to an end. Same diff. Let's go ahead and pull our wounded, get those level ups taken care of. Make sure we're ready for what's potentially to come. Trip just hit 10. You know, still not sure what we're doing with those last 2 perk slots. I mean, initially my thoughts were Quick Hands and Duelist for Catal, but I just, I'm not really sold on the Catal. You know, having to set up the stun first makes it really clunky given how initiative works. I guess the most reliable thing to do is to just give them a mace and a Catal so they can stun and then Quick Hands off for death blows, but I mean, we just didn't really set up for that. And someone would have to crunch the numbers on that for me. I'm just not sure it's really worth that kind of setup for a little extra damage on the back end. Yeah, that looks good, I think. And we'll sit on the perk for the moment. Giannis hits 5. Not ready to lock him into a specific weapon type just yet. But I think it's safe to say that he'll need recover pretty much no matter what direction we take him in, so let's go ahead and bank that. And as for stats, melee, obviously, plus RDef, no reason not to. And yeah, let's go ahead and grab that plus 5 in health. Obviously, we do need a few other things, but they'll have to wait. Which brings us to Mal. Level 8. Right, recover. Again, pretty safe bet we'll need it. Might as well bank it now. And stats. We'll take the MDef. We'll take... We do need Resolve, but that's a pretty mid-roll. So we'll just grab Initiative and Melee instead. And that's it. Let's see if we can make it back to Erlak unmolested. Fingers crossed. Heading back to collect on your contract, a few men step out onto the road. One of them points at the head of Otmar the Bleak. We are the highest paid bounty hunters in these parts, and I believe you're carrying off a bit of our business. Give us that there head, and all parties shall get to sleep in their beds tonight. You laugh. You'll have to try better than that. Otmar the Bleak's head is worth a lot of crowns, my friends. The leader of these supposed bounty hunters laughs right back at you. He lifts up a bulbously weighted sack. This here is Willibald, one of the more wanted fellas in these parts. And this, he holds up another sack, is the head of the man who killed him. Understand? So hand over the bounty and we can all be on our way. Look, that's a very fine sack and all, but I don't really see this happening. Sorry, bud. No head. And fight number 2. Let's see how this one goes. Ooh, boy, yeah, that's a fight. All right. Thankfully, no elites back there. But still, 17 mercenaries strong. I might have actually come into this fight a bit light. Probably should have left Giannis on the bench. As the bartering breaks down, the two company commanders fall back, barking out commands as the two sides clash. The bounty hunters charge in, emboldened by their superior numbers. The raiders tentatively stepping up to meet them. A few probing strikes exchanged. Bruises doled, but no telling blows get landed. Giannis wades in, engaging an unhelmed henchman. Mal pushing up to his side. Tommy puts 2 spikes through the lead spearman. The sellsword staggered as he finds himself impaled. Mark pauses, then pours poison into his tightly packed shot. Shrapnel rains over the enemy front line, the smoke more brackish than usual. Though the mercenaries don't seem to have been given much pause. Though Rax very much does. A hatchet man's leg swept out from under him. Diego moves up, holding north, shoving a shieldman into Rax's reach. Bowman fires into the masked mercs. Causing a cutthroat loss of face. And the mercs let fly. Heavy nets hurled over the heads of multiple raiders. Diego, Rax, Rassel, all entangled with intent to kill. The raiders pushed back as best they could. Rassel wrestling his way free, stunning a foe, but just as quickly being re-entangled. Rax grunted with annoyance, hacking the hatchet man in half, then shrugging off the net, pushing forward for more. Random caught another cur upside the head. A nasty snap as neck gave way. Mal cut Diego loose. As Cetrus ran interference. And Diego came out swinging. As did Giannis. A crunch of cartilage, leaving a nose in crimson ruin. The bloody-faced bounty hunter turned to run, Rax promptly cutting him off. Tommy broke, a sword-wielding scallywag. Another poison shot from Mark, but still no real results. I've got to say, that is disappointing. Perhaps we're just not getting enough through their armor. I mean, these guys do all have nimble, so I guess that would make it harder to stick. Drak disarmed a dazed dastard. Diego discouraged one on north. And Rax cut a bloody swath. One headsman left headless, and gutted beside. But to his credit, the gutless goon pushed forward, menacing Mark. Mal circled wide, putting pressure on the side. And 2 more mercs fell, claimed by random violence. Rook struggled with his ropes. Rassel having slightly more luck, freeing himself and then forging forward. An enemy crossbowman quickly falling back. The bounty hunters began to break, one quickly withdrawing. Tommy impaled an axeman's leg. Drak decapping the last on south. Bowman put another down. Bit by bloody bit, the raiders had eked out an advantage. But the fight was not yet won. But as they pressed, the formation before them finally began cracking under pressure. Another claimed by Rax's hacks. Rassel rushing in, unhanding another. Random pushed up behind, trailing virulent vapors. At least one merc, having the good sense to make good his escape. Make that too. Though a third found his ribs racked for his efforts. A fourth wrestled to a halt. At this point, it was clear the hapless headsmen had lost their heads. Figuratively, and in some cases literally, though a stubborn few fought on, if just to survive. But the raiders did not relent. Cetrus shattered a skull, and just like that, the last spark of resistance was extinguished. It was every man for himself, the headsman scrambling to escape. One headed off by Mal. Another disarmed by Rax. Oh, you know, that's something we have to do. We need to get Rassel a doggo, now that he's a proper shieldman. Rook ran another enemy through. Yeah, that guy's good as gone. Goodbye. Oh, yep, right off the board. Wind wound round. The errant archer, realizing he'd erred, Yeah, that guy's gone. Just these two left. And raiders refocused. The final two fell. Their attempts to flee met with success. At least from this mortal plane. And hey, look at that. No level ups, but we also made it through relatively unscathed. Even pulled one of those fancy pants Nordic helmets. Not that we really have much use for it, but happy to have it in our arsenal. They do look pretty nice. Plus, of course, an assortment of Tier 3 weapons. Decent sales fodder, that. Not bad, Raiders. Not bad at all. To think I was actually worried about bringing Giannis in on this one. I mean, he didn't exactly light the world on fire, but he held his own. Alright, let's go turn this thing in. Fight ran a little longer than I had hoped, but yeah, that'll happen when you get into some tougher tangles. All right, back to Urlock. Erwin the Merchant leans back as you enter his room, carrying a head by its hair. Luckily, it's not dripping. This here is Otmar the Bleak. Or should I say, was. Slowly standing, Erwin the Merchant takes a cursory look. Was works. So, not only did you destroy the brigands' rat hole, but you brought me the head of their leader. That's a mighty fine work, Sellsword, and you'll be getting extra for this. The man forks over a satchel of your agreed-upon pay, and then takes a purse off his own self, then pitches it toward you. Oh, wow, yeah, that is a hefty payday. But alas, now we wrap up with, I think, one last bit of fluff. As the Raiders' omnipresent captain emerged from his meeting with Erwin, he found himself flagged to one side by the Raiders' newest recruit, Seymore the Epic, the husky hedge knight greeting him with a gap-toothed grin and a heavy slap about the shoulders. So what'd I tell you, Captain? Otmar the Bleak. Plenty of coin, minimal fuss, just like Wilmar before him. Just gotta know when to make your move. Seymore, the captain responded diplomatically. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we ever actually talked about Otmar or Wilmar, you said? Pretty sure that was someone else. Oh, was it? Seymore responded after a pregnant pause. Huh, must have got you mixed up with someone else. But no worries, Captain. I'm a raider now. Wouldn't get caught dead with no other outfit. Yeah, I'll bet, the captain nodded. As you were, raider. And the hedge knight walked off whistling, utterly unashamed. And scene. Alright folks, we'll hit the pause button for now, but we'll pick up here next time. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie V23, Revenant, Alois, Bowman, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Lady Shayna, Giemza, OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.